Hi there, students. Today I'm going to show you several audio editing techniques that you'll use frequently throughout the majority of your work in this class. Now this will be a mixture of the actual tools themselves and manipulating those tools in such a way to achieve having high quality work. So let's get started. The first thing I want to show you is this little button right here that looks like sound waves. This is the show or hide audio waveforms button. And you can engage this on both your event window and your project window. And you can just turn it on like that, and then bam, you can see the audio in your piece. Now here's something really cool about messing with audio. I'm just going to grab a clip here, pull it down to the bottom. I'm going to make the icons really big, and let's zoom in on this audio. There are a couple of ways to actually achieve the same goal in this. If I want to mess with the audio, I can double click this, and this opens up a window called your clip inspector, and I can click on the audio tab and it gives all of these cool instructions. You see this little black bar right here? Well, mouse over the top of it and you can pull it down and up, and it increases it down to like 62%, or you can even go up to 500% to enhance the audio if it's really quiet. But notice how there's a different color change over here. We've got some of these audio waves getting hot. And how can I fix that? Well, I could pull the whole audio down so they're not hot anymore. And if it's hot, it would just sound staticky and very loud and bombastic for your viewer. And we don't want that. But see, by lowering this, it came at a cost. I've just lowered everything else. If I want to edit just those bars, I click and make a yellow box around the area I want to mess with, and I can lower the bar in that area, and I've just made that part quieter. I can also bring the audio for everything else. I can bring all of that up if I want to as well. And so you can get in there with your audio and fine edit what parts you want loud and what parts you want quiet. Now let's say you don't want the audio just to go blam, start. You want kind of a gradual fade in with your audio. Well, if you look at your waveform box, you got these two little buttons here. These are actually levers. You can pull left and right. And this controls your fade in and your fade out. Another way you can do that is to double click on the clip, go into your clip inspector, go to audio, and you can check or uncheck fade in and fade out. If you want it to fade out and go into a whole new audio, you can manipulate the slider there and it does the exact same effect. You can see it changing for me going left and right. Another way to get to your audio editing panel is to just double click that little speaker icon and it goes straight to the audio in your clip inspector window. It's another shortcut. Now another tool that you want to use under this is anytime you're going to edit audio in a clip, you want to normalize the clip volume. And what that does is it brings the loud parts down and it brings the quiet parts up, and it kind of makes an average with the audio. It's another way to kind of prepare your audio for editing before you actually get in there to fine-tune things. The next tool that I'm going to show you guys is called the clip trimmer. The clip trimmer is used to tell the computer what specific parts of an audio or music track you want in that clip. So I'm going to take my clip that I'm going to use, pull it down here into my project window. Let's make the icons bigger so that we can see. I'm going to kill the audio in this clip really quick because I don't want that to compete with the background music. Let's grab this disco song from the Bee Gees here. I'm going to stick it in the background so we've got background music. Now, since this clip is only about 7.5 seconds long, it's only going to play 7.5 seconds of background music. But the computer thinks, hey, let's start from the beginning. Now, what do you do if you wanted a different part of the song? Well, what you do is you go over here, you click on your gears, and go to clip trimmer. Look up here at the event window. All of a sudden, this new window drops down, and I'm going to zoom out all the way here. And you see we've got this huge waveform pattern. Well, part of it is bright and the rest of it is very dim. The bright part is what fits into the video and what the computer is using. So you can control what parts of the song you want in your video by grabbing your entry point here. And like if I wanted this middle part where it starts to get loud, just drag it right there. Now since it's a 7-second clip, I don't have to worry about the exit point because it's only going to fill in 7 seconds. If I wanted less than that, I could drag it anywhere within there. But if I go outside of 7 seconds in length, It's only going to have that part highlighted. This next part is going to show you guys how to enhance the audio of a clip that has very poor sound. If you're going to use the mic on the camera, it's important that you have that camera close to your subject. And your subject is the person you're interviewing. And that's so that we can hear them. Now, the person being interviewed is very soft spoken, and there's also going to be a lot of background noise in this clip. We're not going to be able to fix it all the way, but if you take the proper preventative steps before you even start your interview, you won't have to worry about this in post-production.
So how do you think we can help other people and stop the bullying?
Normally with bullies, it's...
Now we can barely hear him. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to try is I'm going to look at my wave pattern here. The loud part is where the interviewer is talking. The interviewee is talking here, and it's very quiet. So I'm going to highlight all of this with yellow and bring it up. Now this will come at a cost. All the white noise in the room will get louder. Let's check it out.
And stop the bullying.
Normally with bullies, it's...
Now yes, his voice is now louder, we can hear it, but listen towards the end as more hallway noise interferes.
There are some rare cases where they don't care and continue doing it. And...
Now we're not going to be able to completely fix this, but these are the tools that you would use to do so. Go into your clip inspector, go to audio, and you'll see this area right here called Enhance. And what this does is it reduces background noise. It has a slider from 0 to 100. And what this is trial and error. You have to find the sweet spot in here where it eliminates the background noise. Now, too much of this enhancement will cause your subject to start sounding like this. It's going to get very muffled. So let's see what happens if we go 100%. So I'm going to throw it to 100% first and then back down until I have a good audio sound. Let's go to the part where it gets really nasty. Can't hear anything. So I'm going to back it down to 50%.
There are some rare cases where they don't care and continue doing it. And...
Now it's lowered the background noise. It's also gotten rid of that white hiss. But unfortunately, because of the quality of the sound, we're not able to determine what he's saying.
Normally with bullies, it's...
But it sure has cleared out a lot of that background noise. Okay, let's look at detaching your audio. Detaching the audio is when you remove the actual audio track from a video clip and then treat that audio as a separate resource that you can edit, move around within the clip itself, and do a lot of cool things with. To detach your audio, select your clip by right-clicking and or control-clicking if you don't have a right button on your mouse, and just go Detach Audio. And now the blue waveform has disappeared and we have a purple waveform here, much like if you were doing a voiceover and such. And now, just drag a random separate clip in. I can then take this audio and drag it throughout my project. Now you'll notice this is a 21-second audio clip, and it's going to shrink when I pull it into a bigger clip. That just means that the purple box takes up 21 seconds within there. So the size of your clip will determine how big the box looks. If you ever need to zoom in, remember, you can zoom in and do a lot of fine editing this way to get the exact position here. You can find the zoom in next to your audio waveform button. Next, I'm going to show you why detaching audio is important to switching between visuals. So what I want is our interviewer to be talking and then going back and forth between different visuals while his voice continues to carry on. That's actually a very easy process. First, I've detached the audio from our speaker, and then I'm going to grab the clip that I want, click and drag it, and just simply drop it on the timeline where I want it to be. Now you're going to get this little window that pops up. All you got to do is click on Insert, and there we go. But now you're going to notice there is more video than there is audio. See how it's kind of poking out over here? So what we need to do is look at the length of the clip. It's 2.7 seconds. And now I just need to shave off 2.7 seconds from the beginning of this new clip over here in order to make it fit. 2.5, 6, and 7. And now it fits. Got a couple extra things to work on here. Let's kill the audio in this clip. And let's see, and we also have to raise the audio apparently in this bottom one because it's very low. Max it out. Now let's see what it looks like.
Normally with bullies, it's usually just a matter of confronting them.
And so now let's spice this up a little bit, reviewing just some of the basics that I showed you in the previous screencast, as well as using some of the ones that you've learned already. I'm going to throw some background music into this and some sound effects. So to do background music, you click and drag the music into the negative space of your project. And the whole thing should turn green, and then it will surround your clip. Now, here's where looking at the waveforms is important. I'm going to make the icons bigger so that we can see. Look how quiet the talking is, and look how loud the background music is. That's the first thing we need to change. So I'm going to grab the background music and make it at least half as loud as the talking. And since I've maxed out the speech already, there's really nothing I can do about it. Another thing I want to do is I want to start the background music at a specific spot in the timeline. So I'm going to grab it and drag it. It's going to turn purple. And I want to start playing about where our interviewee starts talking. So I'm going to look at his waveform right here where he starts to speak. And I'm going to take the background music and move it forward right about there. And I'm looking at the waveform patterns, not the boxes. And right about there looks good. Now I also want it to fade in with the background music a bit. So I'm going to pull in a nice fade that lasts a couple of seconds. And now let's go on to sound effects. So I've got several different whooshing sound effects. And I want to time it right when this guy swings his big stick. So right about here is where it starts to move. I'm going to take a whoosh sound effect and drop it right there on the timeline. And then finally, I need to make sure the level of that audio for that whoosh is loud enough to hear. And from the looks of it, it looks a little bit bigger than everything else, and that's good. I'm also going to make a big thwack when it hits this person's leg, and then a grunt and a crashing sound when he hits the ground. So since I'm here, I'm just going to grab the body impact sound effect, time that with right about when the person hits the ground, and that person happens to be me. I'm going to shrink that down a bit. Check the levels. Looks good. Now let's look for something that's a painful, whack sound. Let's use this hammer bang sound effect. Now I want to get rid of that echo at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag it and then drop it right about the impact hitting the leg. I'm then going to open up my clip trimmer and let's get rid of the echo. So we just hear the loud thwack. Okay, so I paused it a little bit. I went in and I added a whole bunch of whooshing sounds and then some impacts on there too. Let's see how it comes together.
Normally with bullies, it's usually just a matter of confronting them on the action, making them understand what they're doing. There are some rare cases where they appear things continue doing it and get into that.
Now this video in no way condones violence or bullying, but having said that, moving forward, it's fun to add sound effects to things, especially if it's a kung fu scene. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to merge different clips together and have the music overlap and kind of fade into the next clip. I've just randomly selected 3 clips and just randomly selected 3 music tracks, and this is what it would sound like without any post-production added to it. Pretty abrupt. There are no visual transitions, and there's really no transition between audios. So to do this, your video and your audio need to be 2 separate things, which means you'll be detaching your audio if you're using audio from the clip itself, or you'll just be using music clips. So I've selected 3 music clips here. First things first, I need to adjust the volume of all of these. The volume on the first one is a little quiet, so I'm going to raise that to kind of be the same as the other tunes here. what I'll do in order to make these fade into each other, I'm going to grab the music from the second clip and overlap it a little bit. So on the timeline, there's a little bit of activity here. Now I've got this gap right here where there's really no music, so I'm going to extend my music clip. And all that does is just like that clip trimmer. It's just extending the exit point of the tune. All right, and now I'm going to overlap this one as well. I'm just going to pull it in there a little bit and then extend so it matches the rest of the clip. All right, let's check and see how that sounds. Yeah, it blends more now. It's not as abrupt, but it still doesn't sound right. So here's the next step. What you do is, you can see this little lever here in your waveform. Just drag it to the left a little bit. Have it fade out. Then we want to fade in to the next one. And then we do the exact same thing at the end. And the exact same thing at the beginning of the last song. And then we leave it alone at the end, and we leave it alone at the beginning. And just for good measure, I'm going to throw some video transitions in there as well to make it make a little bit more sense. I'm going to make this one go for about 1.5 seconds. And I'm going to uncheck for it to apply to all transitions, because I'm going to use 2 transitions. I want this one to be slow, because the beginning of the mood is slow in the first one. And then I want the transition at the end to be, for the second one, to be a little quicker. And that went together pretty well. So that is how you blend together your audio between different clips. Now there's been a lot in here, and the more you use it, the more second nature it becomes. So feel free to come back and review these techniques from this video. Treat this as your textbook. So I look forward to seeing you in class. Take care.